Hello, welcome to my channel. You will notice I have my fat bike here. But before I get into what I'm doing here, let me show you something. Fall is here and winter is coming, so that means I gotta go with lights. So I did an unboxing of these lights. Here it is mounted to my helmet. And believe it or not, even though it looks like it's angled up quite a bit, if I put this on, ends up being about right as far as where it's pointing. I will be going out, I hope tonight, and test these out. I did actually test it out on the paved bike path yesterday, and I got into some pretty dark areas, and I was pretty impressed. So now my next test will be to go onto a mountain bike trail and actually see. um, I know it'll work great for me, but I want to see if it helps my GoPro see a little better so I can do some more night ride footage on my channel. Um, we'll see. I'm going to mount one on my helmet and one on my handlebars, and I hope it just gives a little bit better perspective of what night riding is like in the real world. Because last year when I did night rides on my channel, you got this like severe tunnel effect, and you could only see that bright light in the middle. And you couldn't see peripherally. I'm really hoping these will give it a little bit better perspective. All right, so fat bike update on this. A year ago, a little over a year ago, I did a bunch of upgrades to this, and I really like how it's set up. I rode it all last winter. Loved it, loved it. Loved the higher rise handlebars, spank spoons. I threw a dropper post on my fat bike. This is the P&W Rainier post, Rainier IR, I believe, or Rainier. It's a mountain over in Washington. And this is the one that they recommend for cold weather. And it did phenomenal all winter last winter. I also converted my fat bike to a 1x10, and I love that also. I have it, the range is pretty good. I haven't really found that this gear, which I want to say is a 46, I don't remember, and I'm not going to count the teeth right now, but I feel like it's enough for me for riding in the snow. And so basically, I'm not doing any updates to this bike this year. I'm going to just go over it, dial it in, and just make sure it's ready. I do know that it's got a creaky bottom bracket, and I'm going to be uh, racing this in what's called the Filthy 50, which is in October, and I will again do footage of that event. Um, 50 miles of gravel roads and so on and so forth, and there's different categories because it is technically kind of a gravel race. But because it's like mid-October, um, I chose to do the fat bike category because you never know what the conditions are going to be like. And if the conditions end up being like super crappy, I want to be able to have like a decent time riding, because if it ends up being all wet and sloppy and nasty for some reason, riding a skinny tire bike or whatever, or even just a regular mountain bike, would be pretty frustrating. So I'll be running probably these tires. These are the Surly Nards. I put these on for summer, but I have the Bud and Lou for winter. And as you might know, those are way more aggressive tread and work really good in the snow. These wouldn't work so good in the snow, maybe some hard pack snow, but these work great on loose dirt, sand, pavement even. I mean, because of the way the treads are and how close they are, they work really good on pavement. So I like the Nards for non like deeper snow conditions. They work pretty much great for everything else. So there it is about my fat bike. So I'm going to take this bottom bracket apart. Once I get it apart, I'm going to show you a little something. I'm not going to go through the process of taking it apart on my channel, but I want to show you how this bottom bracket works, because Specialized uses a PF30, press fit 30, which means they press the bearings in. But this particular bottom bracket is pretty slick. I'll show it to you. Okay, here it is, and it's made by Wheels Manufacturing. And see these kind of grooves there? You can see it's pretty grimy, so I need to clean this apart. But there's the bearing, and there's no threads, but there is threads. So basically what they did is you thread this into itself like that, and then it just basically compresses together, and then you can get it tight in your bottom bracket. And this is the tool used to do it right here. You can see it's Wheels Manufacturing. So it's pretty slick. I don't really like press fit bottom brackets. Man, I deal with them all the time in BMX. And so when I found out this existed and my Specialized bottom bracket was pretty worn out, you have to realize this bike here, I believe I got it in 2015 or 2016. So it's got a good 5 or 6 years of just, pretty heavy riding and abuse and a few events, including the Alpine or Norpine Classic, which was up in Lutsen, things like that. I've done some gravel rides, other things, and just rode it a lot of winters. So it's gotten a lot of abuse over the years, and it's still holding true, so I keep it. And so if you look at what a press fit bottom bracket shell looks like, you'll notice there is no threads. So it's essentially, exactly what it says, a press fit in here. Very similar to what BMX bikes use. And I don't really know why companies have started doing this, or some companies have. And of course, there's different sizes, and there's it's kind of all over the place. Again, the bike industry is famous for not following a standard. So yeah, I'm just showing you that. It was a little loose. When I went to loosen it, it came right out right away. So that's my suspicion of why it's creaky. So I'm going to go ahead and clean all this out, clean that bottom bracket, put a bunch of grease in here, and then reinstall everything. If you haven't noticed, I really like Wolftooth components. This has been on here a little over a year. This is the drop stop style chainring, and so they have a little bit thicker tooth, thicker. The idea behind these chainrings is it prevents your chain from easily coming off the chainring. They got a little bit deeper cuts, things like that. Like if you were to use 32 tooth chainring made for gears, the chain would easily come off because they're going to be shallower tooth. They're going to be ramped in such a way that they're actually designed for the chain to come off when shifting gears. But when you're going with a single chainring, you want a chainring that's designed to help prevent the chain from coming off. And you can see how the teeth stick up there and how deep they go into the chain. That's really important to help keep the chain on the chainring. Another thing I don't really say much about, but if you're ever looking for a really cheap, good pedal, get out of the light. These stolen Thermolite pedals, they're like 15 bucks or whatever, and make sure you get the ones with the metal pins, not the plastic pins, because they make them with plastic or metal pins. Stolen Bikes, it's a BMX company. They make these pedals called Thermolite, and they're not sealed. They're really cheap, but even not sealed, these pedals have lasted me a long time, and they are really grippy and really impressive. I like them a lot. They're a good, inexpensive alternative if you're not willing to dish out the 50 or 75 or whatever for, nicer pedals. But those are sealed bearings, so keep that in mind. All right, let's get the other crank arm on and finish this job. All right, there you go. Sweet. Now to go over the rest of the bike, but that was the big primary concern, was creaky bottom bracket. I haven't actually gone out and pedaled and ridden it. I will do that, but I'm 90% sure it was the bottom bracket. Another thing that can cause creaking is your chainring bolts. I did check those, but if you're ever like looking over trying to figure out where a creak is coming, check your chainring bolts sometimes. Those could be loose and those can also make creaky noises. It's one of those things people sometimes overlook. All right, my fat bike is getting dialed in. Everything else is pretty good. I just need to basically clean it up and just look over things, make sure brakes and everything are working well. But aside from that, I know this bike is good, and it's a blast to ride. I'm gonna probably get one more season out of this before I start considering getting a new fat bike, because this is getting pretty old. But I just really like this one, and I have to give Specialized credit. I actually heard a rumor that they're no longer gonna make the Fat Boy. I don't know if that's true or not, but this frame has been freaking awesome. I broke my Minnesota 2.0, that framed brand one. Of course, that's a much lower end bike. But this frame, I've jumped it. I beat the living crap out of it. Been riding it for over 5 years. Still solid, and the geometry still feels really good to me. But I think the bike I'm eyeballing now is one of those Otso bikes. Again, Wolftooth, Otso, you know, they're all one and the same, but those things are pretty sweet, so I keep getting more and more attracted to that bike. I do want to probably try the 27.5 by 4.0 fat bike wheels. These are still 26-inch by, in this case, 4.8. So big tires. They're really floaty on the snow though, so I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, definitely gonna get one more season out of this bike for sure. Maybe more, but I'm thinking after this season I'll probably start shopping for a new fat bike. Anyway, really appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace. Yep. Bottom bracket no longer creaks. Pretty sweet. Why am I wearing sandals?